My beloved child, you have been grounded for a very long time. I know this. I see you sitting in the dust of your disappointments, looking up at the sky with a heart full of a sorrowful longing. You were created with wings. I am the one who wove into the very fabric of your soul a desire for the heavens, an innate and holy longing to rise above the sorrows, the struggles, and the mundane realities of this fallen world. And you have tried to fly. Oh, my child, how you have tried. With all the strength you could muster, you have flapped your weary wings against the relentless headwinds of your adversity, fighting for every inch of altitude, only to find yourself beaten back down to the hard, unforgiving earth. Again and again and again, the world, and the other birds who seem to fly with such ease, have watched your attempts. They saw you try to launch your life into the air with hope and passion, only to see you tumble back into the dust of failure. And they have drawn their conclusions. They have judged you. They have called you flightless, incapable, perhaps even foolish for ever dreaming that you were meant for the sky. They have told you, with a tone of finality, that you should accept your place on the ground. And now, your wings are tired. They are bruised. They are battered. And they feel broken beyond repair. The spiritual, emotional, and physical muscles you have used to strive and to flap against the storm are now completely and utterly exhausted. And in the quiet of your own heart, you have finally agreed with their assessment. You have looked at your own brokenness. You have felt the profound ache in your soul, and you have resigned yourself to a life on the ground. You have come to believe, with a deep and settled sadness, that you will never soar again. But you have been trying to fly with your own strength. You have been using your own tattered wings. You have been operating under the wrong principles of aerodynamics. You have not yet learned the secret way of the eagle, the creature I created to be the king of the sky, the one who does not endlessly strive, but who effortlessly soars. You feel that you are grounded forever, but I have come to you today, as you sit in the dust of your exhaustion, to announce a new season, a new reality, and a new way to fly. For this is my promise to you. The one who is weary and heavy laden, I will lift you up on wings of eagles. Before you can understand the glory of this promise, we must first honor the profound reality of your exhaustion. I do not dismiss your weariness. I have seen every moment of it, and I have held it as a sacred thing. Let us speak of your striving. It was born from a good and holy desire to rise above your pain and to live in the high places of my calling for you. But it was a work that was powered almost entirely by your own strength. This striving has looked like many things in your life. It has looked like your relentless self-improvement projects, your desperate and often failing attempts to fix yourself, to overcome your weaknesses, to become a better person through sheer, white-knuckled willpower. It has looked like your seasons of frantic religious activity, your attempts to earn my favor and to force my hand through your perfect performance, your long checklist of spiritual duties. It has looked like your anxious and exhausting attempts to control every aspect of your life and your relationships, believing that if you could just manage everything perfectly, you would finally achieve a state of peace. This, my child, has been your flapping a constant, draining, and ultimately unsustainable expenditure of your own precious energy, which have resulted in very little upward movement and has only left you more tired than when you began. And while you have been flapping with all your might, you have been flying into the face of a relentless headwind. This has not been your imagination. The resistance against you has been real and has been powerful. There have been the harsh winds of your painful circumstances, which have seemed to blow against you at every turn. There have been the strong winds of other people's opposition, their criticism, their misunderstanding, their jealousy. And beneath it all, there has been the constant buffeting wind of your enemy's spiritual attacks, a wind specifically designed to create drag, to slow your progress, and to wear you out. You have failed, rightly, that for every one flap you have made forward, the wind has blown you 2 flaps backward. It has been a long and brutal fight against a power that you could not overcome on your own. And I have seen your crashes. I have been there in the moments when, after a long and exhausting period of intense striving, your strength has finally given out completely, and you have fallen from the air, crashing back down to the hard, painful earth of your reality. I have seen the shock and the pain of these crashes. I have seen the bruising of your soul, the shattering of your confidence, the breaking of your spirit. Each one of these crashes has reinforced the enemy's lie that you are not meant to fly. Each crash has made you more afraid to even try again. And now, you are sitting in the dust and the rubble of your last great crash, looking at the broken feathers of your wings. And you are convinced that this is the final chapter of your story. And what is the result of all this striving, all this wind, and all this crashing? It is a weariness so profound that it has settled deep into your bones and into the very marrow of your soul. It is a spiritual, emotional, and physical burnout. It is the loss of your passion, your vision, and your desire. It is a profound and understandable cynicism that has begun to whisper to you that nothing will ever truly change. You are not just tired in your body. You are tired of your body. You are tired of your mind. You are tired of your circumstances. You are tired of your very self. This is the true and painful state of a soul with broken wings. But my beloved child, you have been trying to fly like a sparrow, a small bird that must flap its wings frantically and constantly just to stay in the air. A sparrow survives on the high energy expenditure of its own desperate strength. But I have not created you to be a sparrow. I have created you to be an eagle. And the eagle flies by a completely different and far more glorious principle. The sparrow relies on its own power, but the eagle, the king of the birds, relies on its wisdom to find and to ride a power that is far greater than itself. The eagle knows how to position itself, to spread its wings, and to be carried by the unseen currents of the air. It soars, it mounts up, with an effortless grace and a majestic power that is not its own. Your profound exhaustion, the very thing you have seen as your greatest failure, is, in fact, the end of your sparrow life. It is a necessary and grace-filled prerequisite that will now force you, perhaps for the first time, to finally learn the secret way of the eagle. You thought your exhaustion was your great failure, but I knew it was your greatest opportunity to learn a new and better way to live. You thought your broken wings were a permanent disability that had grounded you forever. But I knew they were a sign that you were finally ready to stop relying on your own wings and to start relying on mine. You thought the fierce headwinds were sent to destroy you, but I knew that those very winds of adversity were creating the powerful thermal updrafts that I would now use to lift you higher than you have ever been before. You thought you were grounded forever, but I knew you were simply being positioned in your weakness and your surrender to finally learn how to soar. Your weariness is not your end. My child, it is your true and glorious beginning. Your exhaustion is not your shame. It is your greatest qualification for the miracle I am about to perform in your life. For my promise to you is not, I will give you stronger wings so that you can flap harder. My promise is this: I will lift you up. I will do the work. I will provide the power. I will be the lip. And now that you have finally, blessedly, come to the end of your own striving, we must now speak of the glorious, divine invitation that is found only in the place of your utter exhaustion. You're sitting now in the dust of your own exhaustion, your wings bruised and broken from your long and fruitless striving. You have looked upon the state of utter weariness, and you have seen it as the final, shameful proof of your failure. But I, your loving Father, who sees things not as they appear, but as they truly are, see this moment not as your end, but as your most glorious and grace-filled beginning. For your exhaustion is not your defeat. It is, in fact, my divine and loving invitation to you. We must now speak of the sacred purpose and the profound beauty of the end of your striving. I know how you have wept over your own weakness. You have hated your inability to be stronger, to fly higher, to endure more. You have compared your own profound weariness to the perceived, boundless energy of others, and you have found yourself utterly and shamefully wanting. In your prayers, you have begged me, time and again, to take your weakness from you, believing it to be the one great obstacle that has held you back from the destiny I have for you. But my beloved child, you have been trying to solve the wrong problem. Your weakness has never been your greatest problem in my eyes. On the contrary, your perceived strength has always been your greatest problem. It was your own stubborn self-reliance, your own fierce and prideful belief that you could and should do it on your own. That kept you trapped in the exhausting cycle of frantic striving and painful crashing. It was your own strength that kept you from discovering mine. Therefore, the greatest and most merciful gift I have given you in this past difficult season has been the precious gift of your own utter exhaustion. I have lovingly, patiently, and purposefully allowed you to come to the absolute, undeniable end of all of your own resources. For it is only at the end of yourself that you can truly begin to discover the reality of me. It is only when you are empty that you can be filled. It is only when you are weak that you can be made truly strong. Your profound exhaustion was not my punishment. It was my divine invitation. And what was I inviting you into? First and foremost, your exhaustion was an invitation to finally and truly surrender. As long as you had even a single ounce of your own strength left, you would have continued to flap your own wings. As long as you had one more plan, one more strategy, one more ounce of willpower, you would have continued to strive in your own power. And your striving, while sincere, was keeping you grounded. I had to allow you to come to a place of complete and total depletion, a place where you had no more plans and no more strength, so that you would finally be willing to stop. The moment you collapsed in the dust, the moment you finally whispered from a place of utter defeat, "I cannot do this anymore. I cannot fly," that was not your moment of failure. That was your moment of greatest victory. For it was the moment you stopped praying the old prayer of the striver God. "Please help me to fly," and you finally prayed the new prayer of the surrendered one God. "I cannot fly. You must carry me." This prayer, this confession of your own complete inability, is the most beautiful music to my ears. It is the prayer I was patiently waiting for you to pray, for it is the prayer that finally opens the door for my power to begin to truly work in your life. Your exhaustion was also an invitation to discover true rest. You have never in your life known true, deep, soul-level rest. What you have called rest has always been just a brief and anxious pause between your sessions of striving. It was a moment to catch your breath before you began frantically flapping your wings again. But true rest, my shalom rest, is not merely the cessation of activity. It is a deep, settled, and profound trust in the activity of another. I am the Lord of the Sabbath, and my Sabbath rest is not just a day off from work. It is a spiritual reality, a place of being where you consciously cease from all of your own anxious works, your own striving, your own efforts to save yourself and to manage your own life. And you enter, by faith, into the powerful and effective finished work of my Son. I have brought you to a place of utter exhaustion so that you could finally discover the glorious gift of my Sabbath. Your weariness was the doorway into the only true and lasting rest you will ever know. Furthermore, your exhaustion was an invitation to a new source of power. You have been trying to power your life for years with your own small, human battery. And now, after all the striving and all the struggling, that battery is completely and utterly drained. It has zero charge left. And this feeling of being powerless is terrifying to you. It feels like death. But it is. In fact, the necessary prerequisite for you to be plugged into a new and infinitely greater power source. My Holy Spirit is an infinite source of divine power, an eternal generator that never runs dry. But you could not truly and fully plug into my power as long as you were still trying to run on the last fumes of your own. I had to lovingly and purposefully allow your battery to be drained completely so that you would finally be willing, in your desperation, to receive my unlimited and unmerited power. Your emptiness is the very thing that has created the capacity for my fullness. Your powerlessness is the very thing that now qualifies you for my power. And finally, your exhaustion was an invitation to a deeper intimacy. In a strange way, your very striving has kept you at a distance from me. You have been so focused on your own performance, on your own flapping, on your own efforts, that you have not been able to simply be still and to know me. Your relationship with me has been defined by your work for me. But I long for something more. I long for you to know me not as your employee, but as your closest friend, You're a loving father. You're a divine husband. And your exhaustion is the invitation to cease all of your frantic activity and to simply be held by me. It is an invitation to learn the profound intimacy of being carried, of resting your weary head on my shoulder, of letting me be strong for you. The end of your striving is the true beginning of your deepest intimacy with me. Therefore, I am calling you now to a radical and complete change in your relationship with your own weakness. You must stop seeing your weakness as your great enemy, as the one thing that is holding you back. You must stop despising it, hiding it, and constantly asking me to take it away from you. Instead, I want you to begin to see your weakness as I see it as your greatest and most precious spiritual asset, for it is the place of your most authentic surrender. It is the doorway into your deepest rest. It is the very point of connection where my resurrection power can flow into your life most fully and most gloriously. Begin today to thank me for the profound gift of your exhaustion. Thank me that I love you enough to allow you to come to the blessed end of yourself, for it is here, in this place that you have so feared, this place of surrender, of rest, of utter dependence, that your new life truly begins. The frantic flapping of the sparrow is over. The exhausting striving has ceased. You have come to the end of your own strength. And here, in this holy place, your new life can now begin. You are no longer a sparrow, desperately fighting to stay in the air by its own power. You are now becoming an eagle, sitting still and quiet on the high cliff. Your wings spread wide, no longer flapping, but simply waiting for the wind of my spirit to come and to lift you. For you have finally learned the great secret. You do not have to create the lift. I am the wind beneath your wings. You have come now to the most beautiful and sacred place in the spiritual journey, the blessed end of your own strength. You have ceased your frantic, exhausting flapping. You have surrendered your own failed efforts to fly. You sit now in the quiet dust of your own inability, your wings bruised and broken, but your heart, for the first time, is truly open and still. You see this as a place of defeat, but I see it as the place of your greatest potential victory. For you are now, finally, in the perfect position to learn the great secret of the eagle. You are now ready to understand the source of your future flight. You are not waiting for your own strength to return. You are waiting for my power to arrive. For you must understand this profound and life-altering truth. I am the wind beneath your wings. For your entire life, my child, you have operated under the law of human physics and the logic of this fallen world. You have believed that to rise, you must exert a great downward effort. You have believed that lift is created only by the constant, wearying, and powerful flapping of your own wings. This is the only model of power you have ever known. And by this model, because you are now exhausted and your wings are broken, you are utterly and permanently powerless. And in this, your assessment is correct. In your own strength, you will never fly again. But I'm now inviting you into a new reality, a reality that is governed by a higher and more glorious law, the law of the Spirit of life. I am inviting you to learn the law of the eagle. An eagle, the magnificent king of the birds, does not spend its days in a frantic and exhausting flapping. It has the strength to do so. Yes, but it has a greater wisdom. An eagle understands that its own strength is finite, and so it has learned to rely on a power that is infinitely greater than its own. It has the wisdom to find a force that is outside of itself, a mighty, invisible thermal updraft, an unseen column arising, warm air, and it has the courage to launch itself from the cliff, to spread its great wings, and to entrust itself completely to that unseen current. And when it does, it is lifted effortlessly to the heavens. It soars. It mounts up. It rides upon the power of the wind. My child, you do not have to create your own lift anymore. The great and glorious work of your new beginning is not for you to flap harder, but for you to learn to trust the wind. And my own Holy Spirit is the mighty wind, the supernatural thermal updraft that is now coming to lift you and to carry you to the high places I have prepared for you. And you must understand the nature of this wind, the nature of my spirit, upon which you will now learn to soar. First, the wind is unseen. You cannot see the wind with your natural eyes. You can only see its powerful effects, the swaying of the trees, the ripples on the water. So it is with the movement of my spirit. For years, you have been looking for a visible, tangible, immeasurable source of power. You have wanted a 5-step plan, a predictable formula, a program you could follow, but the greatest, most powerful, and most life-changing force in the entire universe is invisible. And you must now learn to place your trust not in what you can see, but in the one you cannot see. You must learn to have faith not in the strength of your own visible wings, but in the reality of my invisible power that is now beginning to move in your life. The season of walking by sight is over. The glorious season of flying by faith in the unseen has now come. Second, the wind is sovereign. You cannot control the wind. You cannot command it to blow. You cannot make it go where you want it to go, or come when you want it to come. My son said of the Spirit, the wind blows wherever it pleases. You hear its sound, but you cannot tell where it comes from or where it is going. So it is with the movement of my Spirit in your life. In the past, you have tried to control your own spiritual life. You have tried to create your own momentum, to follow your own plans, to set your own schedule. But now, you must learn to surrender to the sovereign movement of my Spirit. Your new job is not to tell the wind where to go. Your new job is to become a master at feeling which way the wind is blowing, and then to courageously align yourself with it. This is a life of profound, restful, and daily surrender. It is a life of letting go of your own map and learning to trust the wisdom of the wind. Third, the wind is powerful. Your own strength, your own frantic flapping, was a weak and pitiful thing when set against the great headwinds of your adversity. But the wind of my Spirit, this power that is now available to you, is not a gentle breeze. It is the same power that hovered over the dark, formless waters at the dawn of creation and brought forth life. It is the same mighty, rushing wind that filled the upper room on the day of Pentecost and turned a handful of frightened men into fearless apostles who changed the world. It is the very same resurrection power that entered the tomb, defied the laws of death, and raise my own son from the grave. This is the power that is now being made available to you. It is a power that can lift you with an effortless grace, high above your circumstances. It is a power that can carry you over the most intimidating mountains of impossibility, as if they were small hills. And you must now learn to read the wind. A master eagle, through long experience, becomes an expert at reading the subtle signs of the air. It knows how to find the unseen currents. You, too, will now learn to read the signs of my Spirit's movement in your life. This is the new wisdom I'm giving you, the wisdom of the eagle. You will learn to feel the gentle nudge in your heart that says, "Go this way, not that way." You will learn to sense the moments of divine favor and supernatural opportunity. These are the thermal updrafts I am creating for you. You will learn when to be still, to sit upon the cliff and to wait patiently. And you will learn when to launch out in faith, knowing that the wind is ready to catch you. This is what it means to be led by my Spirit. The wind of my Spirit is now beginning to blow in your life. The thermal of my grace is now beginning to rise beneath you. But the wind, however powerful, cannot lift an eagle whose wings are folded in fear and self-protection. And so now, my beloved, you have a part to play. It is a single, simple, but profoundly courageous act of faith. Even though you feel weak, even though your wings feel bruised and broken, I am calling you now to spread them wide. You must open your heart to me again. You must declare your trust in my unseen power. You must make yourself ready to be lifted. This is the posture of active surrender. It is the posture of the eagle. And as you, in this moment, choose to spread the wings of your faith, you'll begin to feel it. It will be a gentle stirring at first, and then a firm and powerful lift. And you will know, with a certainty that will change you forever, that the power is not coming from your own effort. You are not flapping. You are not striving. You are being carried. The exhausting life of the sparrow is over. The glorious life of the eagle is beginning. Welcome to the life of being carried by the mighty wind of my Spirit. You now understand the glorious and liberating truth that you are not a sparrow, destined to a life of frantic, exhausting flapping. You are an eagle, created to soar. You have come to the blessed end of your own striving, and you have, by faith, spread your bruised and weary wings, making yourself ready to be lifted by the unseen and powerful wind of my Spirit. But even as you sit upon the high cliff of this new revelation, I know you look back at the past and you remember the storms. You remember the fierce, chaotic, and terrifying winds of adversity that you thought were sent to destroy you. And you ask me, with a sincere and logical confusion, "My Father, if you are the wind beneath my wings, why then was the wind of my past so violent? Why did it feel like it was trying to tear me apart?" We must now speak of the great and fearsome mystery of the storms in your life. For you must understand how a young eagle truly learns to fly. It does not learn in the calm. It learns in the chaos. The storms you have so feared were not an attack from your enemy that I was powerless to prevent. The storms were a necessary and purposeful part of my divine curriculum for you. They were your flight school. I do not, for a single moment, minimize the sheer terror of the storms you have endured. I know that from your perspective, huddled in the small, fragile nests of your security, It felt like the entire world was being torn apart. The wind of adversity howled with a terrifying fury. The cold rain of sorrow fell relentlessly, and the lightning of sudden, unexpected tragedy struck all around you. I saw you as you clung desperately to the sides of the nest, believing with all your heart that you were about to be torn from your only place of safety and hurled into the abyss. Your fear was not an illusion. It was real. And it was justified by what your natural eyes could see. But you were seeing the storm from the limited perspective of the eaglet in the nest. I was seeing it from the eternal perspective of the great mother eagle, your divine parent, who was lovingly, wisely, and purposefully presiding over your flight school. I was not absent in your storm. I was the very one who was orchestrating it for your ultimate good. The chaotic storms I have allowed in your life were not meant to destroy you. They were the very atmospheric condition required to teach you how to move from the timid, fearful flapping of a fledgling to the masterful, effortless soaring of a mature eagle. The storm was your classroom. You must now understand the purpose of the storms you faced. Let us look at the lessons of this divine flight school. The first lesson was the stirring of the nest. An eaglet will never learn to fly as long as it is completely comfortable in its nest. The nest is a place of warmth, of safety, of regular provision, of profound comfort, but for a creature that is destined for the skies. The comfort of the nest eventually becomes a cage, and there comes a time in the life of every eaglet when the mother eagle begins to intentionally stir the nest. She removes some of the soft, downy lining. She brings back a thorny branch and places it in the center. She makes the familiar place of rest an irritating and unpleasant place to be. My child, the seasons of your divine dissatisfaction, the times you have felt a deep and holy restlessness in your spirit, the times your old comforts and your old situations have suddenly become irritating and confining to you, these have been my loving hand, stirring your nest. I had to make your comfort zone uncomfortable. I had to make the place of your limitation a place of irritation in order to create within you the desperate and necessary desire to leave it and to launch out into something new. But even with an uncomfortable nest, an eaglet is often too terrified to take that first, frightening leap into the empty air. And so, the mother eagle must perform an act of what seems like cruel love. She gives the eaglet a firm push from the nest. This is the moment of sheer terror and existential crisis for the young bird. It finds itself suddenly falling, tumbling through the air with no visible means of support. The great crises of your life, the sudden loss that pulled the rug out from under you, the devastating diagnosis that shattered your sense of security, the shocking betrayal that threw your world into a spin, these have been my loving and sometimes severe push from the nest. I know it felt like I was casting you out to die and felt like an act of abandonment, but it was, in fact, an act of profound faith in you. I was forcing you into a situation where you had no other choice but to finally discover and to use the wings of faith that I had already given you. And what happens as the eaglet is falling is divine. Innate survival instinct kicks in, and it begins to frantically, clumsily, and desperately flap its wings. It discovers, in its desperation, that it has wings, and that these wings can have an effect on the air around it. They can slow its descent. They can give it a measure of control. Your first, desperate prayers in the midst of your free fall. Your first, clumsy acts of faith when you had no other options. Were you discovering your own spiritual wings? You discovered, perhaps for the first time, that your trust in me, however imperfect, could actually alter your reality. This was your first, exhilarating taste of your own spiritual agency and power. But this is not the final and most important lesson, for this frantic flapping is still the way of the sparrow. The ultimate lesson is the discovery of how to ride the storm's updraft. A small bird, like a sparrow, is driven down and often destroyed by a great storm. But a mature eagle learns a great secret. It learns that the very storm it once feared, the fierce and violent winds, creates powerful and invisible columns of rising air called thermals. The eagle learns to stop its own frantic flapping, to lock its wings in a position of surrender and trust, and to angle itself perfectly into the fierce headwind. And when it does this, a miracle happens. The very power of the storm that was meant to destroy it begins to lift it. Effortlessly, higher and higher, above the chaos, above the clouds, into the calm, blue heavens. The storms of adversity in your life have created powerful, spiritual updrafts of my grace. And for all these years, I have been patiently teaching you to stop fighting the storm. I have been teaching you to stop trying to flap your way through it in your own strength. I have been teaching you to spread the great wings of your faith, to lock them in a position of absolute surrender and trust, and to let the very winds of your trial, the winds of my spirit that are present in the chaos, lift you into a new level of intimacy with me and a new height of spiritual perspective. And what happens if the eaglet falters in its training? What happens if it cannot find the updraft and it continues to fall toward the rocks below? This is the final and most comforting lesson of the flight school. The mother eagle, who has been watching with a keen and focused eye the entire time, has never taken her eyes off her child. And at the moment, it seems that the eaglet will surely crash. She swoops down with her own great and powerful wings. She positions herself underneath her failing child, and she catches it on her own strong back, carrying it safely back to the high cliff. So it has been with you, my beloved, in the moments you have faltered, in the times you have given in to fear, in the instances where you thought you would surely crash and be destroyed. My grace has swooped beneath you. I have caught you. I have carried you. And I have placed you back in a place of safety. My promise to you has always been this: I will never, ever let you hit the ground. Your entire training has always been conducted within the absolute and perfect safety of my sovereign and loving care. Therefore, I am calling you now to a complete revolution in how you view the storms of your past and your future. You are no longer to see them as signs of my anger or as random, destructive attacks from the enemy that I was powerless to stop. You are now to see them as your sacred and divine flight school. See them as the place of your greatest spiritual growth. See them as the classroom where you have learned the secrets of soaring. And when the new winds of adversity begin to blow in your life, you will no longer have to cower in fear in the nest. A new and holy excitement will rise within you, for you will know that it is another precious opportunity to spread your wings, to catch the wind of my spirit, and to ride the storm to a new and more glorious height. You are no longer a frightened fledgling, terrified of the wind. You are becoming a mature eagle, a storm rider, one who has learned to partner with the very forces you once so deeply feared. You have learned how eagles fly, and the wide open sky is now your true home. You have graduated with honors from the sacred and terrifying flight school of the storm. You have felt the loving push from the nest of your comfort. You have discovered the clumsy but real power of your own wings of faith. And most importantly, you have begun to learn the great and glorious secret of the eagle, to cease your own frantic striving, and to learn to ride upon the unseen, powerful wind of my spirit. And now, my child, I have lifted you up. But what is the ultimate purpose of this new and glorious elevation? It is not just for the exhilarating thrill of the flight itself, as wonderful as that is. It is for the profound and life-altering gift of a new perspective. We must now speak of the glorious view from above. For your entire life, you have seen your problems and your circumstances from the ground level. You have stood at the foot of the great, intimidating mountain of your impossibility. You have looked up at its sheer, rocky cliffs, at its jagged and threatening peaks disappearing into the clouds. And from that vantage point, it has seemed to fill your entire sky. It has looked immense, unconquerable, and absolutely terrifying. It has been the defining feature of your landscape, the one great obstacle that has blocked your path and has dictated the limits of your life. You have stood at the entrance to the dark and tangled forest of your confusion. You have looked into its dense undergrowth, its labyrinth of twisting paths, and from that ground level perspective, you could see no way through. It has looked like an impenetrable and frightening maze, designed to confuse you and to keep you trapped forever. This ground level perspective, this ant's eye view of your own life, has been the primary source of your fear, your anxiety, and your profound hopelessness. But now, something has fundamentally changed. I have, by my grace, lifted you high above the ground. You are no longer standing at the foot of the mountain. You are now soaring with an effortless grace, high above its highest peak. You are no longer lost and entangled in the undergrowth of the forest. You are now looking down upon its vast canopy from above, and from this new and glorious vantage point, everything looks different. The laws of perspective have been changed. You are now beginning to see your problems, your life, and your entire journey from my perspective. You are now seeing your problems from my vantage point. Look down now, my child, from this high place where you soar on the wings of my spirit. Look down at that great mountain that has intimidated you and has paralyzed you with fear for so many years. Perhaps it is the mountain of your financial debt. Perhaps it is the mountain of a chronic illness. Perhaps it is the mountain of a broken and seemingly irreconcilable relationship. From the ground, it was a terrifying and impassable obstacle that dominated your entire world. But from here, from this high place of my presence, look how small it has become. It has not shrunk, but your perspective has grown. It is no longer the only thing you can see. It is now just one feature in a vast, beautiful, and intricate landscape that I'm creating. And look, from this new altitude, you can see the other side of it now. You can see the green pastures and the still waters that lie just beyond the peak you thought you would never cross. You can now see the gentle, winding path that I have been carving around the side of the mountain, a path you were completely unaware of when you were standing at its base. The mountain itself has not been removed, not yet, but its power to intimidate you, its power to define your reality, has been completely and irrevocably broken, simply by a change in your perspective. You now see your mountain in its proper and manageable proportion. Now, let us soar together over the tangled forest of your confusion. Remember the long seasons when you felt so lost, so disoriented, so convinced that your life had no direction and no discernible path forward. Look down upon that forest now, from above the canopy of the trees. You can see the whole picture. You can see the beautiful and intricate pattern that you could never have perceived from the forest floor. You can now see the winding path that I was leading you on all along. You can see how that painful detour you thought was a mistake was actually my loving hand guiding you around a dangerous, hidden swamp of temptation. You can see how that frustrating dead end you encountered was actually me protecting you, turning you back from a path that would have led to a great and sudden cliff. You can see the beautiful, sunlit clearings just ahead on the path, the places of rest and refreshment that I have already prepared for you. The profound confusion you felt when you were on the ground was a direct result of your limited perspective. But from up here, soaring with me, the path is clear. It is purposeful, and it is inexpressibly beautiful. And as you see this, the deep anxiety you have felt about being lost is being replaced by profound and restful peace as you learn to trust the wisdom of your guide. And now, look down upon the very storms that you so feared from your new vantage point, soaring high above them on the thermal updrafts of my grace. You can see them for what they truly are. From the ground, a storm feels infinite and all-encompassing. But from up here, you can see its edges. You see that it is not infinite. It is localized and is temporary. You can see the clear, brilliant, and untroubled blue sky that has always existed just above the clouds. You can learn to see the storm not as a terrifying reality that you are trapped within, but as a temporary weather pattern that you can, by my power, rise above. Your entire relationship with the trials and the storms of your life has now been fundamentally and forever changed. And finally, as you soar with me, look down upon the people in your life from your place on the ground. You have often seen others as either threats, as competitors, as sources of your pain, or as objects of your envy. But from this high place of my love, you begin to see them as I see them. You look down upon that person who has wounded you so deeply. And from this new perspective, you can see their own hidden wounds, their own secret fears, their own desperate insecurities that caused them to act as they did. You look down upon the person you have so envied, and you can see the private burdens they are carrying that you knew nothing about. From this new altitude, your heart is no longer filled with judgment, or with fear, or with envy. It's filled with a new, profound, and tender compassion. This divine perspective frees you from the prison of offense and empowers you to love others with my own supernatural, forgiving, and restorative love. This new perspective, my child, is your inheritance as an eagle of my spirit, but you must now learn to live from this high place. The enemy of your soul will constantly try to lure you back down to the ground. He will whisper to you, trying to get you to focus once again on the intimidating size of the mountain from its foot. He will try to draw you back into the tangled undergrowth of confusion. You must, through your daily practice of prayer, of worship, and of focusing your mind on me, choose to remain at this new heavenly altitude. You must practice seeing your life, your problems, and your relationships not from the ground up, but from heaven down. When your perspective changes, everything changes, even if the circumstances themselves have not yet changed at all. The problem that once paralyzed you with fear now seems manageable. The confusion that once kept you stuck and disoriented now gives way to a confident and restful trust in your divine guide. You are being lifted up, not just to escape your problems, but to change your entire relationship with them. This is the great and glorious gift of the eagle's view. We have journeyed together through the deep and hidden realities of your spiritual life. You have seen with new eyes the purpose of your exhaustion. You have learned the secret of riding upon the wind of my spirit. You have understood the divine purpose of the storms you have faced, and you have begun to glimpse the glorious new perspective that comes from soaring high above your circumstances. All of this has been a holy and necessary preparation. But my child, a lifetime of preparation must eventually give way to a moment of divine fulfillment. The time for understanding the theory of flight is over. The time for the actual experience of soaring has now come. Let all of creation now hold its breath. Let the heavens listen with joyful anticipation, and let the earth give ear with awe. Let the mountains of impossibility that once intimidated you be silent. Let the raging storms of adversity that once terrified you be still. For the God who created you with wings, the shepherd who has pursued you through every valley, the loving Father who adores you with an everlasting love, now speaks a new, powerful, and life-altering word over you, a word that changes everything, a word that inaugurates a new era of your existence. The season of you being grounded in the dust of your disappointment is now officially and irrevocably over. The long and wearying season of you flapping your own bruised and broken wings in a futile effort to rise is now finished. The time for you to live at the ground level of your circumstances, defined by your problems and trapped by your pain, has now come to a complete and glorious end. And so I declare to you today, by my own sovereign authority and out of the depths of my great and passionate love for you, that your season of soaring begins now. For as I have promised you in my word of old, a promise that has been waiting patiently for this very moment of your readiness, so I now perform for you in your present reality. I will lift you up on wings of eagles. You must understand what it means to be lifted up by me. It is a divine and supernatural transaction, an act of my grace, that will transform your entire experience of life. First and foremost, I am lifting you up above your circumstances. You have lived for so long in your circumstances, trapped by them, entangled in them, and defined by them. Your problems have been the very air you breathe and the walls of your prison. But I am now, by my Spirit, lifting you to a new place of altitude, a new spiritual position where you will now live above your circumstances. The problems themselves may still exist for a season down on the ground, but they will no longer have the same power over you. They will no longer be able to entangle you, to define you, or to defeat you. From this new high place of rest in my presence, you will be able to look down upon them with my perspective and my peace. I am changing your position from being in the problem to being above the problem with me. And in changing your position, I am breaking their power over you. Second, this lifting is a divine exchange of your weakness for my strength. My word promises that those who wait upon me, those who come to the end of their own strength and learn to trust in mine, will exchange their strength. My child, you have finally come to the blessed end of your own strength. And now, I'm inviting you into this great exchange. I'm asking you to give me all of your weariness, all of your exhaustion, all of your burnout, all of your feelings of inadequacy, and in its place, I am clothing you with my own supernatural might, the same power that created the heavens. You will begin to feel a new and unfamiliar strength rising within you, a strength that is not your own. It is my strength. And with this new strength, my promise is that you'll run and not grow weary. You will walk and not faint. This is not a pretty metaphor. It is a spiritual transaction that is taking place right now. Your weakness has been the price of admission to the limitless treasury of my strength. I am lifting you into a new dimension of spiritual, emotional, and even physical power that is not your own. Third, I'm lifting you into a new speed of progress. You have known the slow, arduous, and often limping pace of the past season. You have felt that for every step forward, you have been pushed 2 steps back. But when an eagle is caught up in a great thermal updraft of wind, it can cover immense distances with an astonishing and effortless speed. The season of your slow, painful progress is now over. I am now lifting you into a season of divine acceleration. The things that would have taken you years, or even decades, to accomplish in your own striving, I will now bring to pass in a startlingly short period of time. I am now redeeming the time that the locusts have eaten. I am about to carry you forward into your destiny at a speed that will take your breath away and leave you, and all who are watching you, in a state of awe. And finally, I am lifting you into my own joy and my own rest. To be lifted on wings of eagles is to be lifted out of the turmoil and the striving of the earth and into the serene and joyful peace of the heavens. It is to cease from your own frantic, desperate labor and to enter into the effortless, beautiful glide of my grace. I am lifting you out of the dusty land of your striving and into the green pastures of my Sabbath rest. I am lifting you out of the dark valley of your sorrow and into the high, sunlit places of my own delight. The very air up here is different. It is thin. It is pure. It is filled with the light of my glory. It is the very atmosphere of heaven. And I am now inviting you to live in it, to breathe it in, to make it your new and natural habitat. And what are these wings of eagles upon which I will lift you? They are not the wings of an angelic being that I am sending to you. They are my own wings. They are the wings of my absolute faithfulness, which will never drop you. They are the wings of my omnipotent power, which can carry you through any storm. They are the wings of my scandalous grace, which will lift you far beyond what you deserve. And they are the wings of my unchanging, everlasting love, which will hold you and cherish you for all eternity. You are not just being lifted by an impersonal force. You are being carried on the very substance of my own divine character. You are as safe and as secure as I am. The wind of my spirit, the great thermal updraft of my grace, Shane, is now blowing powerfully in your life. My own wings are now spread beneath you, ready to carry you. But there's one thing you must now do to activate this glorious reality. You must let go of the ground. You must, by a conscious act of your will and your faith, let go of your old ways of striving, your old fears, your old securities on the earth. You must launch yourself from the cliff of your past circumstances and trust with all your heart that I will catch you. You must be willing to be lifted. The great and glorious moment of your ascent has now arrived. The time for being grounded is over. The time for crawling in the dust of your despair is finished. I am now scooping you up. I am placing you upon my own mighty, unshakable pinions. Feel the first rush of a wind of my spirit beneath you, and feel the incredible, supernatural power of my grace as it begins to lift you higher and higher and higher. The long season of striving is over. The glorious season of soaring has begun. The great and glorious declaration has been made. The season of your soaring has begun. My promise to lift you up on wings of eagles is not a future hope, but a present and active reality in your life. But you must understand, my beloved child, you are not a passive object being carried against your will through the sky. You are a living, breathing, magnificent eagle. And you must now learn how to partner with the wind of my spirit so that you can soar for the rest of your days. The final and most joyful lesson of your long flight school is this: you must now learn how to catch the wind. I know your old, ingrained instinct for a lifetime. Your only way of dealing with the problem was through frantic flapping and desperate striving. And so, in this new season, when you feel a moment of fear, when you feel a slight dip in your altitude, your first instinctual reaction will be to revert to what you know. You will be tempted to start flapping your wings again in a panic, to start striving in your own strength, to try and create your own lift. But you must learn to resist this old habit, for it will only take you out of the powerful, upward current of my spirit. It will cause you to become exhausted once again, and it will send you spiraling back down to the ground. The world looks at the soaring eagle, gliding effortlessly high above the earth, and it thinks that the eagle is doing nothing. But the world is blind to the realities of the spirit. The eagle is, in fact, engaged in a profound and holy art. It is the art of active, focused, and purposeful stillness. It is the art of perfectly positioning itself for the lift. It is the art of placing its complete and total trust in an unseen power that is greater than its own. This, my child, is what I will now teach you. For you must learn the holy art of waiting and trusting. How do you practice this new way of life? There are several simple but life-altering disciplines you must now cultivate. First, you must learn the discipline of waiting upon me. My word has always held this promise for you. They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. But you have misunderstood this waiting. You have thought of it as the passive, hopeless, and frustrating waiting of your past season. But this is a new kind of waiting. It is an active, an expectant, and a powerful waiting. It is the discipline of becoming still before me each day, not with a long and desperate list of demands, but with a quiet, open, and listening heart that simply says, Father, show me where the wind of your Spirit is blowing today. What is your will for me in this moment? It is the practicing of waiting for my gentle nudge, my quiet prompting. Before you launch out into your day, this active, expectant waiting is the very thing that will sharpen your spiritual senses and allow you to discern the subtle movements of my spirit. Second, you must practice the discipline of spreading your wings in active faith. The wind, however powerful, cannot lift wings that are held tightly and fearfully against the body. To catch the wind of my spirit, you must constantly practice the discipline of spreading your wings wide. And what does this mean in your daily life? It means you must say yes to the new, and sometimes frightening, opportunities that I will now bring to you. It means you must speak my promises out loud over your situation, even when you see no outward evidence of their fulfillment. It means you must choose to love when it is difficult, to forgive when it is costly, to give when it is a sacrifice. Spreading your wings is an act of profound vulnerability and courageous trust. It is you making yourself available to my power. It is you declaring to all of heaven and earth, I am ready to be lifted. Third, you must learn the holy art of surrendering to the current. An eagle does not fight the wind. It yields to it. It allows the power of the wind to carry it, even if it is not always in the exact direction that the eagle originally intended to go. You, my child, must now learn this deep and restful art of surrender. There will be times when the wind of my spirit will lead you in unexpected directions, down paths that do not make sense to your logical, human mind. You must learn to trust my wisdom over your own. You must let go of your own detailed plans, your own rigid timelines, and your own desperate need for control, surrendering to the divine flow of my spirit, trusting that I'm always leading you toward your ultimate good, is the very thing that will keep you soaring in a state of profound peace and rest. This is the end of your striving. And finally, you must learn the discipline of keeping your eyes on the sun. Eagles are known throughout my creation for their incredible, sharp vision and for their unique ability to look directly at the sun without being blinded. This is your final instruction: to stay soaring high above the chaos of the world. You must learn to keep the eyes of your heart fixed on me, on my Son, Jesus. Do not be distracted by the storms that may be raging far below you. Do not be distracted by comparing your flight path to the other birds in the sky. Do not even become overly focused on your own performance, wondering if you are soaring correctly. Your stability in the air of my spirit is directly proportional to your focus on me. I am your focal point. I am your destination, and I am your source. Keep your eyes on me, and you will soar with an effortless and joyful grace. As you begin to practice these simple disciplines of the eagle waiting expectantly, spreading your wings in faith, surrendering to my flow, and keeping your eyes fixed on me, you will discover a new and glorious way to live. The old life of exhausting, frantic striving will become a distant and sorrowful memory, and in its place will be a life of quiet power, of joyful ascent, of peaceful rest, and of effortless grace. You will finally learn to live from a place of deep rest, being carried day by day by a power that is not your own. And so, my beautiful eagle, you are now ready to fly. Your training is complete. You have been healed, you have been strengthened, and you have been instructed. The long, painful story of your journey on the ground is now over. From the weariness of your broken wings, through the blessed end of your striving, to the discovery and the wind of my spirit, from the terrifying but necessary classroom of the storm, to the glorious new perspective from above, to the final and powerful lifting. I have been with you. The voice that once could only cry out in pain from the dust can now sing a new song from the heavens. You are no longer a creature of the ground. You are a creature of the sky. This is your new nature. This is your new reality. The struggle is over. The striving is finished. The soaring has now begun. Look at the vast, open and beautiful expanse of the sky before you. It is your home. It is your playground. It is your inheritance. I did not create you to crawl. I created you to soar. Soar now, my beloved. Spread your wings and feel the wind of my spirit catch you. Rise above the shadows of your past. Mount up higher than the storms of your present, and rest in the high, quiet, sunlit places of my presence. I will be the wind that carries you, now and all the way home.